Yep. Can you share my screen, Atul? Anshul, can you share my screen? Yep. Thank you so much. I think it's still not shared. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Okay then. Good evening, guys. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening, guys. Good evening, Rajneesh, Netaji. All is well. Surya. Good evening, guys. Good evening, Jenny. Am I audible, guys? Am I audible? Can you guys see me? And am I audible? Please confirm that, everyone. Can you guys confirm once? Am I audible? Am I visible? Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. And first of all, guys, a very happy Independence Day to all of you. I hope you're having a great day, and I hope you're excited for the session as well. So, good evening, guys. Good evening, Uma. Good evening, Pawan, Sudeep, Anand, Himanshu, Utpal. Good evening, Navi, Sahil. Good evening, guys. Good evening. Good evening, Rajneesh. Good evening, guys. Yes, happy Independence to all of you guys. Happy Independence Day to all of you. I hope that you're having a great day. And well, now today we're going to rock this session because we have a lot of things to learn. Okay. And I hope you're excited as well. Yep. Good evening, guys. Good evening. Okay. So, everyone, are we excited for today's session, guys? Spam in the chat, everyone. Are we excited for today's session? Because yesterday we started learning JavaScript and we saw so many things. We understood what exactly JavaScript is, why it was created, and right, what are the uses of it, where are the fields it is used. We understood how to start using it in a browser. We talked about variables yesterday. We talked about how to print things on the console, browser console, in different ways. We also talked about little bit about operators as well. Okay. So good evening, guys. Good evening, everyone. Okay, that's great. That's great. Okay. Now, guys, today we are going to move ahead. As I told you on the first day, that was yesterday, that we are going to be creating all the things that we saw on Flipkart, right? Not exactly Flipkart, but some things that we saw, like when we click, a box appears. So we're going to be creating that tomorrow. Now, when we click, a slider happens, elements slide like this. We also want to create that tomorrow. So these are the two things that I'm basically planning to build as a project. Okay, so instead of just creating a very basic functionality, or just a very simple click and text field reading thing, I'm trying to create something that you see on a lot of websites, on how to make something appear on click, or how to slide something on click. So that's our project. Now we have learned some basic JavaScript yesterday, and tomorrow we are planning to create a project. Now this is the only day that we have where we can try to understand the basics of what we are going to create tomorrow. Okay, so guys, we are not going to dive a lot deeper into JavaScript programming, because we will only learn that much that we require for the project, because as you know, we only have 3 days and 1 hour every day. So if we dive very deep in programming, we won't be able to uh, learn how to create that stuff, because that comes under DOM manipulation. And if we dive in programming, then we won't have that much time to learn the basics of the things that we're going to be creating tomorrow. Okay, that's why yesterday we learned about variables. Yesterday we learned about how to print something on console and some basic operators. Today we'll learn about functions. Today we'll talk about conditions, and we'll also talk about event handling and a little bit of DOM manipulation, so that tomorrow we will be ready. Everyone, sounds good? Does this plan sound good, everyone? We are not going to dive a lot deeper into JS programming. Okay, we'll learn all the essential thing that we need to learn for tomorrow's project. Okay, so guys, everyone, can you please confirm? Sounds good? This plan sounds good, right? What we are planning to learn today, so that we can build the project tomorrow, guys. Everyone, hopefully, please confirm that so that we can start. And guys, please focus, because everything is going to be very, very important if you want to start building projects. And once you understand this, guys, in future, if you want to learn DOM manipulation, all the things will become easier for you. Okay, so let's go. Let's start. Okay, so guys, yesterday we talked about variables. We talked about this console.log, which was very simple, printing mechanism that we use to print on console. So let's run this page again. Okay, let's run this page again. So let's simply copy the path and let's go in our browser. So I'll just take a browser window from here and let's run it. And we know that in the console, so we just have to inspect, and in the console we can see the output very simply. Here we go. Okay, it's already working, all good. Now before we start with the actual DOM manipulation or DOM, don't worry guys, I'm also going to explain you what is DOM and DOM manipulation, so don't worry about that. Okay, but before that we need to learn few more things today. Okay, so guys, the next topic that we are learning after variables, console.log, and some basic operators, the next topic that I'm planning to teach you today is one of the most important topics in any kind of programming language. That is basically functions. Today, guys, we are learning the next important thing that we call as functions in programming language. Okay? Or in JavaScript, to be specific, according to our language that we are learning. So, what exactly is a function? So, guys, simply stating, a function is nothing but a block or a set of code which performs a specific task. That's all. Right? A function is nothing but a block or set of code. So, if I have to define it, it's simply a block or set of code, okay, which is used to perform a, if I have to mention, specific task. That's all. Don't mind my spelling, guys. That's all. That's all a function does. It's simply a block or set of code which is used to perform a specific task. Now, when I say block of code, what do I mean by that? Okay. The assignment operator, please clear again that I have a doubt how to work with that operator. Okay, I'll tell you that. Don't worry, we'll be talking about that as well. Okay. So, guys, when I say it's a block of code, what do I actually mean by block of code and how do we use it? Okay. So, for example, let's do one thing. Let's say we are writing a code. So, let me take a Jamboard here so that I can explain you what exactly is a function and how to use it. See, as of now, what we do is we have this script area in which we write JavaScript code, right? We have the script area inside which we write JavaScript code. And right now, guys, we are directly writing JavaScript code and it's working. We are writing this JavaScript code. We are going in browser, opening our page, and all our code is working fine. Whatever I'm writing in the script area, everything is working fine. Now, let's say inside the script tag, I'm writing a lot of code continuously. Line number 1, line 2, line 3, a lot of lines of code I'm writing. Let's say it's going to 1,000 lines. A lot of lines of code I've written. And everything collectively is working properly. But let's say these 3 lines of code are doing a specific task. Let's say, getting data from internet. Let's say these 3 lines of code get some data from internet. Okay. Okay, I'll zoom the coding area. Okay, no issues. I'll do that. Yep. I hope this much is visible. Because if I go bigger than this, then it will be again a problem for me a little bit. So yeah. So guys, what I was explaining is, so let's say I have thousands of lines of code in my script area I'm writing. And there are 3 lines of code whose task is these 3 lines basically go on internet and fetch some data for me. Let's say these 3 lines fetch, the current latitude and longitude for me. Something like that. It can be anything, guys. It can be addition of 2 numbers. It can be whatever functionality you want. So let's say these 3 lines are performing a specific functionality. Now, after some lines, like let's say after 20, 30 lines, I again need these 3 lines of code. I again want to get latitude and longitude of the location. So I'm going to again write those 3 lines. Let's say after some 30, 40 lines, I again need that code. So I'm again going to write those 3 lines. Let's say after some 200 lines, I again need that code. I'm again going to write that 3 lines. That means if I want that 3 lines of code to work for me 20 times, in normal logic, I have to write that 3 lines 20 times. That means I'm writing the same 3 lines of code again and again 20 times because I want to get the same output. I want that same functionality again and again in my code. And that's a problem because right now it's 3 lines. What if it was 30 lines? Then I am going to be writing the same 30 lines 20, 30, 40 times in my whole code. That's basically what I'm doing is I'm repeating the same code again and again. I'm increasing my file size and I'm decreasing my performance because I'm writing so many lines of code. It will take a lot of time to execute. And also my code will look very big. It will be tough for us to maintain it, read it, and understand it. And this is the problem with this procedural programming where we simply write. See guys, right now, when we simply, when you simply go and start writing everything one by one, instructions one by one, and all of that gets executed one by one. That is what we call as procedural programming. You're simply mentioning a set of instructions, and all of that is working. You're simply mentioning it like a procedure. Okay, do this, create a variable, do this, print, add, subtract, divide, get data from internet. You're just mentioning everything line by line. And if you need to do something again, you're again going to write it. That's basically your procedural programming. But you can make it a lot better. So if you feel that these are some lines of code that I'm going to need again and again, what you can do is you can create a separate block somewhere. I'll show you where. And write these 3 lines there, 3 lines of code. And then depending on whatever it is doing, give it some name. So let's say I call it as, let's say I call it as get data. So because it is getting data from internet. Okay. And now, wherever I need these 3 lines of code, rather than writing that, let's say here, I need that 3 lines of code. So rather than writing these 3 lines here, I'm simply gonna use the name of this function and call it here, get data. Now, wherever I call the function, my compiler will check, oh, do I have this function? Yes. So whatever is the code inside that function, that will be executed at this place. But you're not writing it anymore. That means even if it is of 1,000 lines, this collection of code, you don't have to write it again. You just write it once. So it's like this. You create a separate block, you put all your code there, and you give it some name. Now, whenever you need that set of code, you're not going to write it again. You're simply going to call that name at that place wherever you need it, and all that code will be executed at that place. You don't have to worry now. You don't have to write. So now if I need it 20 times, I just have to call this name 20 times. That's all. Now, if I need these lines of code 20 times, I just have to write this name 20 times. I don't have to write this code 20 times. I will write it only once while creating the function. So guys, this is what we call as a function. A set of code which is doing some specific task with a name. You give it some kind of name by which you're going to call it, because you're creating it separately somewhere. So to call it, to identify it, you have to give a name. And that's basically your function name. So guys, understood what's a function? And it's us. We have to learn when to create a function and when to not, and how much will go inside a function. It depends on how you define your task. Okay, these 5 lines are doing this task. These 10 lines are doing this task. These 30 lines are doing this task. Like that, you decide and divide everything into functions. And then whenever you need them, you call it. So guys, when you write everything line by line, that's basically procedural programming. But when you start creating functions and divide each and every task of your code into functions so that you can, call it again and again, that's when you call as functional oriented programming. You're creating functions for every task. And what are the benefits? Everything is separately mentioned. Everything is separately maintained. It's very easier for us to read. And we are reusing our code again and again rather than writing it. That's the best part. So we are saving lines of code. We are increasing performance. We are decreasing, lines of code. Hence, the file size become low, and also the performance increases. And also your code is very easy to maintain and read. So understood, guys, what's a function? And guys, this is a universal logic. Okay, it's not only in JavaScript. In every language, go anywhere, C, C++, Java, C#. This is the logic of functions, everyone. Is that clear, guys? I hope you understood, everyone. That's what functions are, simply. That's all. Okay? So I hope you understood about what is a function. A simple block of code with some name, okay, which is performing a specific task. You can create it separately, and then you can call it wherever you want, whenever you need. And by that, you can use it n number of times. So you're basically going to reuse things. That's all, guys. That's the definition. I hope it was understandable. Now then, let's move ahead and let's test it. Okay. So now in JavaScript, if you want to create a function, it's very simple. You just have to use a function keyword, okay, and give it any name. So let's say in this case, I want my function to, let's say, add 2 numbers. So I'm going to call it as add2, something like that. Or just let's call it as add nums, something like that. Okay. Now, guys, whenever you're creating function, remember, always remember, you have to pass rounded brackets or parentheses. These are called as parentheses. So after the name of the function, you have to pass parentheses. That's how you define functions in any language. Okay. Now there is one more use of that, which I'll tell you in some time. Don't worry. In next 5 minutes, I'll also tell you why we need those brackets. But guys, those things are needed. By that only the compiler understands, okay, fine, it's a function. And then you have to create a block of code. Block of code will go in curly braces. Now you can write whatever code you want inside it. For example, I can have integer n1 equals 34. Integer is not available here, guys. It's JavaScript. You have your var, and then var n2 equals 45. And let's say I simply, go ahead and log it. So console.log n1 plus n2. I'm going to simply print it. I'll see something, guys, that if I run it, there's no output. I don't get this console.log. Why? Because remember, guys, functions are not called automatically. This code will not execute automatically. This is only creation. You have simply created function. Functions, the code inside the function will not work automatically. It will only work when you call your function, when you use your function. Now, once you have created it, you can call it anywhere normally. So I can go here. Now I can simply call that function, and we call it by using its name. So add nums, and that's it. Simple. Just call its name and put the parenthesis. Save it, and here we go. 79. Is that clear, everyone? That's how you create a function. And the best part is, I can call this function n number of times. For example, wherever I want. No, Venkat, as I said, in JavaScript, semicolon is not necessary. But yeah, semicolon is necessary, not beside function. Here it is not necessary because see, semicolon means end. Semicolon means end of line. So if I put it here, this will be end of line. So what is this block doing then? All of this is continuous. This is a single body. This is function name, which is also called as function declaration. And this is function body. They should be together. So if I put it semicolon here, this will be end. Semicolon means end. So then this will be, nullified. We don't want that. That's why no semicolon here. Yes, Sahil, var simply means variable. That's all. That means I'm creating a variable. As I said, in other languages, we write int, float, boolean. So while creating variables, we define proper type. That, okay, this type of data I'm going to store in variables. But in JavaScript, you don't do that. Because JavaScript is loosely typed language. You don't mention data types here. Is that cleared, Sahil? You simply use var and any kind of data is accepted. If see, in this case, if I hover on n1c, it tells me n1 is a number type. If I pass a string, it tells me n1 is a string type. That means you just mention var. Whatever data you give it, like whatever data you give it to the variable, it picks up that type automatically, internally. You don't have to worry about it. Is that clear, Sahil? Yesterday also we basically talked about this. Here, you don't have to mention type. Whatever data you give it, depending on that, it picks up the type. You just have to mention var. That's all. That stands for variable. Okay? And you can pass any data and it will pick up that type. Okay, guys, everyone, I hope you understood. And yeah, some people also create things like this. So either you can follow this approach, like you can have it in this line, or you can also have it in this line. Personally, I like to follow this approach. Like this is what I'm following from start of my journey of coding. I like this one because everything is properly separated. So yeah. So guys, this is your function, which will not work automatically. Compiler only knows that, okay, fine, you're creating a function. To use this code, you have to call that function like this. And you can, the best part is, as I said, you can call it n number of times. Like I'm calling it 3 times. That is what you call as reusability. You can see I'm calling the same function 3 times. That means this code is executing 3 times. I am not writing it 3 times. I have wrote it only once, but we can call it n number of times. That means this code is working 3 times without even writing it. Yes, I'm going to explain about let and const. Give me some time. I'm going to explain that as well. Don't worry, Venkat. So guys, are we clear with the basic idea of function? Everyone, is the basic idea cleared? Let's create one more function just to get more idea about it. Let's say we create a function. So again, function. Let's call it as print name. Okay, and let's say as of now this function simply prints. So always write var for create variable. No, it's not always. Var is one approach. There are more approaches as well. So I'm going to talk about that approach as well. Initially, var was the only way, but now we have more ways. So I'm going to explain that. But before using that, I want to explain you the difference. That's why just wait for some time. So now guys see, let's say inside this function, I write, let's say console.log, let's say, Venkat. Now see what happens. Now this is a function again. And guys, one more thing, let me just remove all this code from top. Now we don't need that anymore. Okay, let's keep it clear and simple. Okay, function print name. So it's printing Venkat and I can call it n number of times. Okay, here we go. You can see Venkat. But now the problem here is, okay, I can call this function n number of times. That's all fine. That's all good. Okay. So I can call this function a number of times, but the problem is it is going to execute the same code again and again for me. That's the problem. So if I call this print name 10,000 times, it's going to only print Venkat 10,000 times. In this same case here as well, if I call add nums 10 times, it's always going to give me 31 plus 45. That means data is always going to be same. Data is always going to be same. It's not changing because you're calling function, it is executing this. You're again calling function, it is executing this. That's the problem. It's fine. I got one thing that, okay, fine. I confuse how to call main function. Please clear again. Main function. We don't have a main function, Sahil. We don't have a main function in here. In JavaScript, whatever you write inside script, that works automatically. You don't have any main function in JavaScript. Is that clear, Sahil? Okay, everyone. Guys, are we understanding? Please confirm. Everyone, are we understanding everything till now? Don't worry, guys. Don't worry about parameters. Don't worry about all that stuff. We have just started it. Let's build it step by step. I'm going to show you all the problems and then the solutions so that you understand why those solutions are there at the first place. Okay? Just let's go step by step, everyone. Let's go step by step. Okay? So now, guys, please focus, everyone. In this case, we have a print name function, which is printing Venkat. And that's all good. So, guys, see, in a case where I really want the same code to be executed again and again, it will be fine. But what if I want my things to change? Like, if I really want to print Venkat 10 times, it's all good. But what if I don't want to print Venkat 10 times? I want to change these names. So how am I going to do it? So I have to make sure by some way I make this data dynamic. That can be done using something called as a parameter. Now, what is a parameter? Guys, focus. In functions, while creating them, in this parenthesis, in this bracket area, you can create variable. For example, I create a variable called as name. And guys, you don't have to give it a type. So no need to write var here. Just the name, variable name. Now, this here is a variable. This variable can only be used inside this function, not outside. Remember, guys, whatever variables you create inside function, they can only be used inside the function. Now, there is much more to it, which we'll discuss later. But for now, just understand that whatever variable you create inside the function. So if I create a variable here like var n1 equals 23, this variable can only be used inside the function. This variable cannot be used outside the function. So any variable that you create inside the function can only be used inside the function and not outside. Same goes for this. Even if it is a parameter, it is considered as a variable of this function only. But the value of this variable will be passed from wherever you're calling the function, because this is not a normal variable. If you create a variable inside function like this, that's a normal variable for that function. This is a normal variable. Okay. But this variable, which you create inside the parenthesis, that is considered as a parameter. The best part about parameter is their value is given from wherever you're calling the function. So now I can go here. See, I'll show you something. Now, if I call this, see, there will be some error. Okay, in this case, it's not giving me error because JavaScript doesn't do that. For that, I have to give some typing. But now, the best part is, guys, you can go ahead and pass a value for it. So I can go here, wherever I'm calling, and I can pass, let's say, Saurabh here, like this. Now, think of it like this. Think of it like this, guys. This Saurabh is going in this name. And if I print that name, you will see now printing Saurabh. And just like that, I can call this function again. And now I can pass something else. For example, I can pass, let's say, Naveen. Now, guys, see what's happening here is first time I'm calling print name, I'm passing Saurabh. This Saurabh goes in name and it gets printed. The next time I call print name again, I pass Naveen. This Naveen goes in this parameter and then Naveen is printed. It means now I can pass data accordingly. The same data will not be used again and again. I can pass data from the outside. Is that clear, everyone? I can pass data from outside to the inside of the function. Okay, so the variables that you create in the rounded brackets, in the parenthesis, that's what we call as parameter, and the value that you pass for that parameter variable is what we call as argument. Is that clear, guys? Yes. So this variable that you have created in the function while creation, that is called as parameter, and the value that you pass, that is called as an argument. That's it. Some people call both of them parameters. Some people call both of them arguments. So don't get confused, guys. The variable that you create is called as parameter, and the value that you pass is called as an argument. That's all, guys. Okay, that's how you can pass different data. Same thing can be done here as well in addnums. Rather than passing like using n1, n2 like this, I can go here and create two parameters, n1, n2. And now, while calling the function, now see guys, here I have two parameters. So if you want to create multiple parameters, just give a comma. So now I have two parameters. So now in that case, that means I have to pass two values. So I can pass 23, 56. So 23 will go in N1 and 56 will go in N2. Now guys, remember, they will always follow a sequence. They will always follow the sequence. Okay. So whatever you want to pass in N1, put it first. Whatever you want to pass in N2, put it second. Okay. And now you'll see it's going to print 23 plus 56, which will be 79. But now the best part is I can call it again. And this time I can pass a completely different data set, like 12 plus 67. Okay. And you'll see, okay, wow, how come I'm getting 79 again and again? Let me just make it something else. 12 plus 34. Okay. So you can see 46. And you can now, the best part is that means I can call this function 10 times, and all the 10 times I can give it different values. That means I created a function one time only, but now I can use it 10 times with 10 different set of values. I'm reusing the code, guys. In this case, I'm reusing this code again and again. Right now it's a single line, but in future it can be 2 lines, 3 lines, 4 lines, 5 lines, whatever it is. So guys, that's what a function is simply. A simple block of code. Okay, a simple block of code, okay, which is performing a specific task, okay, which is simply created to perform reusability, so that you can create the block of code once and you can use it n number of times. And you can also pass data from where you're calling the function. But for that, you have to create parameters and then pass arguments for it. Is that cleared, everyone? Guys, I hope it's cleared. Please confirm. Everyone, please confirm. I really hope it's cleared. That's how basic functions look like. That's how the base functions look like. Function, name of the function, and then you can have n number of parameters, 1, 2, 3, 4. Guys, there is no limit for parameters. Normally you're never going to go beyond 10, 20 parameters mostly, but you have no limit. You can go ahead and pass n number of parameters. Don't worry about that. Okay, mostly your job will be done in 3, 4 parameters. If you're going beyond 10, 20, that means you're doing some mistake. You're passing data in the wrong way. Okay, then for that you have options like arrays and objects rather than simply passing a number of variables. Okay, guys, so that's the base idea behind a function. Okay, I hope it is cleared. Now let's create something. Let's create something. Let's say, for example, you want to perform a task okay, we'll do that after some time. We'll again come back to functions, guys. We'll talk about that. Now, guys, the next thing I want to talk about before we move ahead is gonna be something called as, now guys, see, I'm not saying we have completely covered functions. I'm just stopping it here because we don't have that much time, because we still want to move on to the project. But I hope you got the basic understanding and now you can build onto it. But don't worry, I'm still going to explain some more things about function in some time. Okay. Now, the second thing that we want to learn today is something called as conditional statements. Okay. It's one of the most important things to learn in any programming language. One of the most important things to learn in any programming language. So guys, what exactly is conditional statement? Now guys, what if we pass an integer and a string? It's fine. In this case, if you pass an integer and a string, because JavaScript is loosely typed Sarang, it will allow it. But then when you add it, that addition will never happen. Is that clear? That addition will never happen, because if I pass a number and a string, and will take number and 2 will take string. But when you perform addition, addition will never happen because those two are not numbers. So only concatenation will happen. That number and that string will be joined. Is that clear, Sarang? Sir, Python and JavaScript look similar. Yes, yes, they are a lot similar. Yes, Venkat, yes. They are a lot similar in terms of coding. That's why they are very easy to learn. They are very loose. In some cases, they are very loose. You know, they allow you to create things very simply. So yeah, in some aspects, they are similar. In some aspects, they are definitely different. Okay. But their easiness is kind of similar. They both are very easy to learn. They have a less structuring to do. Like if you go with Java, you have a lot of structuring. You have to properly create classes and all that stuff to work. Here, you don't have to. Okay. So now, guys, the next topic that we are learning today is something called as conditional statements. Now, what exactly are, or what exactly is conditional statement in any programming language? Now, guys, a lot of times you want to perform task based on a condition. Like, for example, let's say you have some task like console.log, some internet task. This can be of 1 line, 2 line, 3 lines, 4 lines, whatever it is. But I only want to perform this task based on some condition. And there are a lot of times, guys, in programming that you want to deal with this. Let me give you one real-time example. When you go online and you're logging to some website, so you write your username password. Internally, it is checked. If your username is correct and your password is correct, then only it allows you to go to the next page. Then only it redirects you to the next page. Otherwise, it stops you. Okay? So in Viva, I gave same answer, but examiner wants to accept. About conditional statement. How come? This is what conditional statements do, right? Okay. Okay. So guys, so there are a lot of times when you want to, execute something based on a condition. One example is you write username password correctly, then only it allows you, otherwise it blocks you, right? Or sometimes, you want to add a product to cart, but it checks if that product is still in stock. If it is only in stock, then only it allows you to add it to the cart. So a lot of times you want to perform something, but it depends on some other conditions. Okay. And if you want to write code like that, if you also want to execute your code based on some conditions, if you want to write code like that, you have to learn something called as conditional statements. Okay. So guys, there is one keyword which helps you a lot in writing conditional statements. Now, guys, how do we talk in English if I want to mention a condition? We say it like this, right? If you come tomorrow at 6:30, I'll take your lecture. So condition is, job is I'll take your lecture. But one condition is you have to come tomorrow at 6:30. How did I mention that condition? By using the English word if. In reality, guys, in real world, whenever you want to mention a condition, right, or a term, we always use the if keyword. Same goes in programming. There is a keyword called as if, the master keyword, which helps you to write conditions. Is that clear, everyone? And one more thing, in programming, condition means nothing but comparison of data. Because guys, see, here it can't be said, right? If you come tomorrow, something like that. Here it's always, because in programming is all about data. So in programming, when I say condition, it simply means comparison of data. That's all. Nothing else, guys. It simply means you're trying to compare two data, and based on its outcome, you want to do something or you want to ignore something. So to create a condition, you have to learn how to write comparison of data. Okay. And yesterday we learned few operators, right? Everyone? Less than, greater than, less than equal to, greater than equal to, equal to equal to. All these are called as relational or comparison operators. These are what we call as relational or comparison operators. These operators help you to create comparison, which in turn are going to be becoming conditions. For example, Yesterday I showed you, right? Like this. If I write 2 less than 3, this is a comparison. This here is a comparison. And we know that the output of comparison operator or relational operator is only going to be either of two things. Either it's going to be true and or it's going to be false. Now, depending on if it becomes true, you want to perform something. If it gives you false, you want to perform something. So, guys, what I'm trying to say here is in programming, conditions are nothing but comparison of data, nothing other than that. Everything, any kind of condition can be created by just comparing data. That's all, guys. You don't talk like in real life. Whatever you talk in real life, you convert that as comparison of data in programming. Okay? And to perform comparison, these are the operators that you have. Let me show you. So let's say I have a variable like, n1 equals 45. Now, I want to execute this code only if my n1 is less than 50. So my comparison will be n1 less than 50. But that's the comparison. I want to use it as a condition. My comparison is n1 should be less than 50. This is my comparison. But based on this comparison, if it gives true, that means if this comparison is correct, then only I want to perform this code. So that can be done by using the if statement. What I will do is, I will use the if statement and we can write our comparison inside the if block. My comparison was n1 less than 50. And then I'll start a block, and inside that block, I can write my code. So guys, how it goes is like this. If this comparison gives you true, then execute this block. That's how it goes, guys. That's all. So this is nothing but a comparison which will either return true or false. If that comparison returns true, if knows, oh, yes, it's true. And only if becomes true, then this block is executed. In this case, guys, you can see n1 is 45. So if I check the comparison, 45 less than 50. Yes. So fine. If 45 less than 50, then do this. And in this case, it's correct. So we're sure that, yeah, it's going to happen. But what if you also want to perform something when this condition is not correct? So for that, guys, just after your if, you can also either you can just write if alone, if. But after that, you can also write else like this. Is that clear, everyone? Now here also you can write some code. So console.log. Let's say something went wrong like that. Okay. Now what will happen is if this comparison gives you true, execute this block. So what happens, guys? See, if this is true, execute this block and leave the else. It will skip the else. It will not even check that, because else only executes if this condition goes wrong. That's all, guys. That is all. So if this is correct, execute the if block. If this is incorrect, execute the else block. Okay, that's all, guys. So if I, in this case, if I make this condition wrong, let's say I make it 55. So now I know if n1 less than 50, that means I'm checking, check if 55 is less than 50, which is obviously false. So in this case, it will skip the if block and directly execute the else block. So now if you check it, here we go. Something went wrong. That's how it goes, guys. Sir, is it mandatory to open? I think for single lines, it's not needed for single lines only, but it's a good practice to always write brackets, Venkat. If you have multiple lines, you anyway have to write brackets. If you have a single line, you can ignore it, but I would always suggest to write it. It basically, your code will be errorless. You will have less mistakes in that case. In comparison, checking how tight the type should value should be. I think for comparison, it works fine. But again, if you want, you can convert things to integer and boolean to check it. That's also fine. You can compare it. You can convert it. Sorry, you can convert it, Naveen. Okay. Because for equality checking, you have triple equal to. But for these things, I don't think you have anything. Okay. For less than, greater than. So in that case, you can convert it and check it. Is that cleared? Guys, are we understanding this? But most of the cases, you'll be writing correct code. So no need to worry about that. Okay. So guys, are we cleared with the basic if and else? Everyone, please confirm. Are we cleared with the basic if and else on how is it working in this case? Okay, nice. Let's talk about one more conditional statement. Okay, that is gonna be let's say this is something like uh, percentage, something like that. So let's say this is something like percentage. Okay, and let's say I have something like 78 here. In my percentage, I have 78. Yes, yes, Venkatesh, it's there. I'm explaining that only. Now it is 78. So what I want to do is I want to do these things, guys. If my percentage is greater than 80, I want to mention O grade. I want to print O grade. If it is greater than 70, I want to print A grade. Or let's say greater than 60, I want to print A grade. If it is greater than 50 or 40, I want to print B grade. And if it is less than 40, I want to print fail. That means now I have multiple conditions and only one of them can become true. Two things can never become true. So if you somewhere, like in coding, if you ever get in a condition like this where you have multiple conditions to check and only one of them is going to be correct, so in that case, guys, you can use something called as a multiple if statement. This was a normal if, and then we learned a normal if and else. But if you ever feel that you have multiple conditions and only one of them is going to be correct, you can use something called as a multiple if statement, or in some cases, it is also called as if else if statement. Okay, write this. It's very simple. First, write your if and write your first condition. That is percentage greater than or equal to 80. So in this case, I'll go and I'll simply console.log O grade. And then I want to write one more condition. So now, guys, if I go and just write a simple if, remember, guys, if you write a normal if after an if, these two are considered as different statements. That means this is a different if and this is a different if. They are not related. They are both going to be executed. But if I know that only one condition is going to be correct, then you should never write another if, because if you write another if, even if it is not correct, it will be executed. And I don't want that because my memory is getting wasted. My CPU cycle is getting wasted. So if you're sure that only one condition is going to be correct, you should always go for something called as else if. So guys, if you write another if separately, that's a different statement. That becomes a completely different statement. But if you write else if, then it is like a continuation of the first if. It's like if first condition, else if second condition. So they are together. They are working. They are basically a single statement. Okay. Now here I can write percentage greater than equals to, let's say, 60. Console.log, let's say A grade. And just like that, one more else if I can have. So guys, all of these are single statement in this case. All of them are just single statements. So percentage greater than equal to 40. So I want to print B grade. Console.log. Yes, 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 Naveen. There is no limit, buddy. There is no limit. There is no limit at all. In this case, I want to print B grade. And finally, if all of these conditions are false, then I simply want to go for an else. If all the conditions go wrong, simply print fail. That's all. Now, guys, what is happening here is all this whole thing is a single statement. That means if this condition is correct, this block will be executed and all the other blocks will be skipped. That's the best part. Because they are single statement, all the other parts will be skipped if this is correct. If this is false, then that will be skipped and it will move to the next condition. Now, if this is true, then this will be executed and all the other things will be skipped. just like that, because they are all single statement. If one block executes, all the other blocks are skipped. Okay, sir, we should write else if or elif, or both are okay? Only else if. We don't have elif. If you try like something like elif, see, that's not a keyword here. Okay, so here you have only else if, like you have in Java and C Sharp and C and C++. Else if. I think in Python you have a different thing, right? In Python, in PLSQL, you have a different way of writing it. But in here, it's else if only, no elif. Okay, Venkat? Yes, Sahil, you have switch case, and that is going to be one of you guys' assignments. I'm explaining you if else, and if else if. I will give you one assignment where you have to research on switch case, which is a lot similar to multiple if. So I want you guys to research on switch case and write a code for me. I'll give you that as an assignment. Guys, trust me, it is exactly similar to a multiple if statement. Switch case is a lot similar to a multiple if statement. Just some basic differences are there, which I want you guys to do in the assignment. If at all there's any confusion, tomorrow I'll solve it for you. Don't worry. Yes, in Python you have elif. In PLSQL also you have elif. Yes. Here you have else if. So guys, let's test it now. Let's test it. So in this case, it is 78. So I'm thinking I'm going to get A grade. Let's see. Refresh, and here we go, A grade. If I make it 88, so we should get O grade, just like that. And if I mention, let's say, 18, fail. So guys, that's how a multiple if statement works. That's how simply a multiple if statement works. I hope that we are cleared with this basic idea of multiple if statement, everyone. So guys, that's what we're going to use. Now, as I said, there is also a switch statement, but I want you guys to research on that, because if I go ahead and start doing switch statement right now, we'll be easily reaching 7:30, and then all the time will be gone. But I don't want to do that. I want to teach you a few more things, right? Related, as you know, we have only 3 days and we want to learn a lot of things. So I'm giving you the kickstart of everything, trying to explain you all the fundamentals of everything, and I want you guys to research on something. Okay. BB KD facts. Yesterday there was no assignment. Today there will be an assignment. Okay, don't worry. Yes, Venkat. So exactly, that's what I want to do. So that's I'll do some part of it today, and then tomorrow I'm going to be using that as well. Okay, guys, everyone. So first of all, confirm. Are we cleared with the basic idea of function, everyone? It's nothing but a block of code which we create so that we can reuse it, and we can also pass parameters to it. It's like a dynamic data, because whatever data you create inside function, that will always be same for all the calls. So if you want to change that data every time you call, you can pass a parameter, right? I'm calling the same function print name, and I'm passing parameters again and again. Don't worry, guys. Today I'll give you assignment on screen only. I'll give you an assignment. Don't worry. How to submit assignment, guys, for everything. Now, guys, again, if you're new today, in the description there is a link. The first link is of registering for the course. Please go ahead and register yourself there. Then the second link is of attendance marking, where you have to mark your attendance. And the third link is of assignment submission. So whatever assignment I give you, complete that assignment, create a file, and then you just go on that link, assignment submission link, and just submit it there. Is that clear, everyone? Guys? Yes, I'll write down the assignment today on screen only. You can just take a screenshot of it at the end, and you can create the assignment. Okay, I'll write the question for the assignment at the end here only. Is that clear, guys? Don't worry. Yes, Hariharan, I'll do that. I'll do that. Now, see, guys, one more thing I want to tell you today is, now before we move ahead, I also want to talk about let and const, because I know a lot of people want to know that. So let me comment this whole thing. Yes, I'm going to tell about arrow functions. Don't worry. Guys, please focus, everyone. Please focus. Let's get back to this print name. Okay. Now, this is what you have already understood, right? That I can use the same function twice, and I can pass dynamic data from outside, which will be going inside, and we can print it like this. Okay. Like this. Now, guys, one very important thing that I want to explain you here is, There is one more way in which you can create functions in JavaScript. And guys, trust me, I'm not going to say it's a better way. It's like a syntactical sugar. It's just one more way of creating functions. No one is forcing you to create your functions in that way. You can either create your functions in this way or that way. Both of them are fine. Is that clear, guys? Both of them are fine. So what is use of functions, conditions, operations, which case in web development? As I said, in websites, when you go and write your username passwords, internally it is checked if username is correct and password is correct. Then there is some code which everything that is happening on the web page, Sahil, all that is happening with the help of functions and all that stuff. When you click on a button, there is some function where some code is written that is called. So you'll understand what is the use of function. Don't worry, Sahil. Just wait for 5 more minutes. I'll show you where functions are used. Okay. So in web development, how are they used? I'll tell you in some time. Don't worry. But everything that you see on a website and everything that you do, behind that, there is a function, there is a condition, everything. Okay. Now, guys, please focus. As I said, there is one more way of creating function. But again, I'm not going to say that's a better way. That's just one more way. So either you can go with this way or that way. So the second way that we have, okay, the second way that we have of creating function goes like this. Let's say I want to create the same function in the new way, which is called as arrow functions. No, Venkat, not only for validation. So yes, one of the uses is validation, but not only validation. Sahil, see, if you go to site like this, flipkart.com, focus. When I click on this box appeared. The code for making this box appear is written inside a function. When I click on this slides, the code for sliding this window or sliding that image is written in a function. Is that clear? Right now you can see I have a cart button here, but it's not showing me cart. It's showing me login. There is some condition written. If the user is logged in, show cart. If I'm not logged in, don't show cart. Show a login button. Right now it's showing me login button because I'm not logged in. So there is a if else condition somewhere. It is written if user logged in, show cart. If not else not logged in, show login button. So all that stuff. So not only validation is one of the uses, Venkat, but everything that goes on. Wherever you click, something is happening. That's because of function. Wherever you see two different things, sometimes some other things load, sometimes some other things. That's basically condition. Sometimes load this. If this condition is true, load this. If this condition is true, load this. If you're logged in, show cart. If you're not logged in, show login page. Getting my point? So everywhere there is a condition, there is a function. Okay. Now then, guys, let's move ahead. So as I was saying, there's one more way of creating the same function, guys, and you can do it like this. Let me show you. It goes like this, guys. Now, you'll go here, and you will no longer use function keyword. You will just use your function name, that is print name. And then equal to pass brackets, which is this one, rounded brackets. And then you have to create an arrow by using equal to and greater than symbol, arrow. And then your block of code. And that's it, guys. You can write whatever code you want inside this. And you can also have your parameter here, like this. That's it, guys. That's how you write an arrow function, simply. And you will see that it works exactly same. It still prints my name. So guys, in this case, in this scenario, this and this are exactly same. You just didn't have to write function keyword. That's one thing that you avoided. Second thing is, if you know that you're only going to have one, so if you have multiple lines, you can write a block and write multiple lines of code here. But if you're sure that you're only going to have one line of code, arrow function says that you can completely avoid these brackets and you can write this whole code in one line. So it can also go like this. So it's like, a unique way, a smaller way of creating the same function. That's why this is called as only a syntactical sugar, a good way. Initially, it might look a little complicated, but it's not that. Once you start practicing, it's not that much. Okay. And guys, in other languages, the same concept is called as lambda expressions. If you go in Java, if you go in C#, if you go in, Python, there it is called as lambda expression. If you go in Dart language, there these things are called as lambda expressions. But guys, trust me, they have a very limited use. Lambda expressions have very limited use. Arrow function has wide variety of uses. They have a lot of features. JavaScript arrow functions are very smart. Okay. So guys, this is the exact same function which I wrote in one line. Okay. So it says that if you're sure, now normally I can go like this, guys. It's completely fine. I can create a block and go like this. It simply says that if you're sure that you're going to only have a single line, no need to put this bracket. You can simply write whole code in one line. And also, if you're sure that you only going to have one parameter, no need to mention this rounded brackets as well. You can go like this. If you have more, then obviously you should go mention these and then, comma some more parameters like that. If you only have single, so you can also go like this. And this is also fine. And see, it still works completely fine. Guys, this is how an arrow function looks like. It is simply a simpler way, a smaller, shorter way of creating a function. Okay, but I will leave it on this so that it will be easily understandable for you. So guys, this thing and this thing are exactly same. Yes, yeah, that's also fine. This is the exact same thing. You just have to apply let or const here. Also fine, no issues. Now I'm going to explain let and const to you guys. Just wait for a few more minutes. Okay. So Utpal, that's also completely fine, buddy. So even if you don't mention let here, I can also mention var here. I can also mention let here. It's all fine. Even if you don't mention anything, it's still fine. That means var is by default getting applied here. Even if you don't mention Utpal. Okay. Because see guys, when you create function like this looks like a function name. But when you create function like this looks like more of like, this is a variable to which you're assigning a function. It looks more like that, right? It looks more like this, a equals 2, where a is your variable and you're assigning 2 to it. Same, this is your variable and you're assigning a function to it. And this variable can still be used like a normal function. So guys, in arrow functions, you're normally creating a variable. In this, you're creating a proper function. In this, you're creating a variable and you're passing a function to it, which still can be used like a normal function. But you can also pass var here. But it doesn't matter if you pass it or doesn't pass. But it will be a good thing if you pass it. So guys, this is how you create arrow functions. Okay, almost same, but you're simply creating a variable. No, I don't think so. No. That's why I'm saying it's a syntactical sugar. Okay, no, I don't think performance wise there is any issue. There is a difference only if you're working with objects. Like if you're creating functions inside an object or inside a class, then there is a slight difference. Other than that, I don't think so there is any difference performance wise. I don't think so. Mostly we can search about it, we can read about it, but I don't think so. So you guys can research a little bit if is there a difference between the performance of an arrow function and a normal function, but I don't think so. Okay, Naveen, is that clear, buddy? So Hariharan, I hope this was your doubt, buddy. I hope it's cleared on how to create arrow functions. Please confirm. You were the yeah, I think yes. Hariharan only asked it. So I hope guys it's cleared. Okay. Now guys, time to teach you about some new keywords introduced in JavaScript in the year 2015. When ES6 convention of JavaScript was introduced. Okay, before that there was ES5. Explain about class. Hariharan, if I go ahead with class, then we won't be able to complete the DOM thing. That will become like a little problematic. Sir, by watching the 3-day class, no, Praveen, no, I don't think so. You'll be able to master JavaScript in 3 days. No, not at all. In these 3 days, you can say we are only covering 10% of JavaScript. After that 10%, you can practice and make it 50%. But you still have to learn more if you want to make it 100%. So after this 10%, if you only practice this 10% in different ways, you can make it 40%. But if you want to make it 100%, you have to learn the concept of closures, object orientation, callback functions, promises. So there are a lot of advanced concepts as well. What happened if we create both type function with the same name or different names? If they're of different names, then it's fine. If they are of same names, then that's a problem. Then it will be like you're creating same function twice. Because at the end, Surya, they are both functions, right? It's like you're creating two functions with the same name, and that's a problematic thing. Right? If they are two different function, one using the normal way, one using arrow way, doesn't matter. Okay? Okay, cool guys. Now everyone, let's move ahead. Now in 2005, in 2015, in sir, is your lecture about full JavaScript is available? Yes, yes, it is available. Like for that, guys, you can go to letsupgrade.in and check out our courses. There you'll be having course where I'm teaching the full JavaScript. So you can check that out as well. Okay. And there are a lot of course, like you can also search on YouTube. There are also lots of courses available related to JavaScript. If you want to learn it from there, you can also learn it from there. Otherwise, you can go to letsupgrade.in, check out our full stack development courses, and we have all that. Okay. Yep. Yes, if you go with same name, then it will be a little problematic thing. Okay. Now, guys, I'm talking about in 2015, in the ES6 version of JavaScript, two new keywords were introduced called as let and const. Okay. Now, guys, let is simply a replacement of var. And one more thing, Venkat, in future, we are also coming up with advanced JavaScript essentials as well. So I'll be teaching their advanced topics like promises, callbacks, and all that stuff. Okay. So guys, in before 2015, people used to use var heavily. Like var was the only option, but it had few problems. It had few problems, and that's why in 2015 we introduced something called as let. Now let's try to understand the difference between var and let. And from now on, guys, you should stop using var and start using let. So let me show you the difference. Guys, are you ready, everyone? So let's say you are creating a function. Let's say function do something. Like I don't have any name as of now, so I'm just calling it do something. Okay. Now remember, guys, the difference between var and let is var is function scoped and let is block scoped. That's the main difference. var is function scoped and let is block scoped. Now, what does this mean? So let's say you're creating a function. Now, see, guys, this is what we call as a function block. So it's a function, it's a block, but it's a function block. So remember, var is always function block scoped, and let is any block scoped. No matter what it is, it can be a function block, if block, loop block, any block. So let variable scope always goes to its own block. Var variable scope always goes to the function. Now, don't worry. I know it's a little confusing as of now, so let me explain you. So let's say I create a if condition, and let's say the condition is 2 equal to 2. Now tell me, guys, is this condition true or false? Everyone, is this condition true or false? Quickly, come on. A simple question. By that time, I'll just drink a little bit of water, guys. Give me a minute, just a second. Okay. Tell me, everyone. Is this condition true or false, guys? True, right? It's a very simple thing. 2 is equal to 2. That's correct. Fine. Let me just tell you because. Okay, cool. Now focus. Okay. Now let's say, see, guys, now here I have two blocks. Okay. This is the function block from line number 80 to line number 89. That is the function block. And from line number 83 to line number 85, this is the if block. Now, I am going to create two variables here, one using var and one using let. See that. I create var a equals 2. I create let b equals 4. So one I created using var and one I created using let. Now, according to definition, var is always function scoped. That means no matter wherever you create a variable using var, it will be always available in the whole function. So even if I go block inside block inside block inside block, like if I dig in 10 blocks, if loop, whatever it is. So I go and just creates a lot of blocks here. Let's say one more block. Let me remove let for now on. Let's say one more block. Right now, guys, these are dummy blocks, so they will directly work. So now, see, function block, then if block, then one more block, and then a var. Now see the problem here. Now I'm gonna try to access that A outside the block, because you can see this block ends here, and I've created var inside this block. But that var will be available outside that block, outside this block, anywhere. It is function scope. That means wherever is the parent function, the main function, it will be available anywhere, no matter in which block I created. So let me show you. And yeah, forgot to call the function, obviously. So let's call that function, otherwise it won't work. Now see, I can get to. That means it's not causing any issue. So no matter in which block I created, it will be available always to the main function. You can see that right now I've created this var variable in the if block, and I'm trying to access it outside the block, and it is still accessible. See? But if I do the same thing using let, and if I try to access this A outside, you'll see the problem. Uncaught reference error, A is not defined. That means I'm trying to access A in the function, but I have not created that in the function, because that A is created inside this block. That means this A can be only used inside the block in which it was created. So whenever you create a variable using let, it will be only accessible in the block it was created. But whenever you create a variable using var, it will be accessible in the whole function, no matter in which block you go. If that block is inside a function, it will be available in the whole function. That's the difference between var and let. And guys, in all the other languages, variables are block scoped only. They behave like let. But in JS, var was behaving like a global variable. And that was the problem. It should be up to me if my variable is going to be global or local. But var was by default global, and we never wanted that. That's why they introduced let. Now, according to let, in whatever block you created, it will be available. That means now, if I want something to be accessible in the whole function, then I have to necessarily create it in the function scope, so that it can be available in the whole function. As I said, let is block scoped. So if I create a variable using let in the function block, then it will be available in the whole function block, because I created it in the function block. Is that clear, everyone? Difference. I think, Sahil, yesterday we talked about this double equal to and triple equal to, right, Sahil? So I would suggest you to watch previous session once more, Sahil buddy, because yesterday we understood about this double equal to and triple equal to, right? Double equal to only checks if two things are looking similar. Like for, just I'm going to give you the idea again. For double equal to, if there is a string 2 and a number 2, this statement is correct for double equal to. Even if this is a string and this is a number, for double equal to, it's true. But according to general programming, this should not be true. A string and a number should never be compared like this. That's why you have triple equal to, which checks both. First of all, are they same or not? And second, if the type of both the data is same or not. If the type of this is number, so only if both are string or both are number, then only it will work. So triple equal to checks if they are same. Also, it checks if their type is same. Yesterday we learned whole thing about this, so I would suggest you to watch the previous session again, Sahil. Okay. So guys, are we cleared with like the have you understood the difference between let and var now? Please tell me, everyone. Have you understood the difference between let and var? Can you please confirm? Because that's one of the most asked questions in interviews. So just one answer, guys. Var is always function scoped. Let is block scoped. That means any block. Now it can be a function block, if block, loop block, static block, any block. Let is only accessible inside the block in which it was created. And guys, what if you don't create any function? What if I directly create a variable using let outside, like in the script, like let a equals 2? Then it will be available in the whole script. Because remember, guys, your script itself is a big, heavy function. You can think of your script as a big function, which doesn't have a name, obviously, but think of it like a function only. So if you create directly outside, then it will be available in the whole script. Because right now, that whole script is the block. Okay, that's the idea, guys, behind if you create directly. If you create let inside a function, then it will work for the whole function block. If you create using let inside a if block, then it will only work for that if block. If you create using let inside a loop block, then it will only work for loop block. So guys, from now on, stop using var and start using let. Okay. Now then, is it confusing, Rosemary? Is it like too much information for one day? Because we have less time, right? That's why a lot of times we need to do a lot of things. But I really hope that you're understanding everything, Rosemary. So guys, till now today we have learned functions, which is nothing but a block of code with some name, and you can also pass parameters to it. Okay. We have also learned conditional statements. We have also learned the difference between let and var. And last thing for today will be to understand let and const. And tomorrow when you come back, we'll directly start with event handling, because now you know functions, so it's possible. And then I'll show you how to start manipulating HTML and CSS using JavaScript. Okay. So now guys, let's go ahead and let's learn the last thing for today, that is the difference between let and const. So now guys, see, it's very basic. Okay. So let's say you create a variable with a, and I print that. So console.log a. Here we go. 2. Now, in future, I can go ahead and I can change this a to 5. That means while creating the a, I gave it a value of 2. But then in future, I changed it to 5. So it is changed. It has changed to 5 because when I'm printing a, it's printing 5. So all good. But in the same case, if you don't use let and use a const, now guys, const stands for constant. Whatever variable you create using const, the rule is it should never be changed because it's a constant. Now I created a variable a and I give it a value of 2, but I mentioned const initially. That means now it's a constant variable. The value for constant variable should never be changed, and I'm trying to change it to 5. So see what happens now. It gives me error, assignment to a constant variable. So if you create a variable using const keyword, you can never change it because it's a constant. Okay, that's the difference between let and const. Let is very simply, you know, a keyword for creating variables, normal variables, which can be changed, reassigned, whatever you want. But when you create a variable using const keyword, that's fixed. It should never be changed. Once it is created, it should never be changed. Okay. So do you teach React at all in the later classes? Yes, I teach React, but I don't think the upcoming React is going to be taught by me. It's going to be taught by, I think, one of a very good instructors that we have in LetsUpgrade. Okay. But yeah, and definitely in future, I'm also going to be coming up with React essentials as well. So don't worry, Rosemary. So you can also attend the upcoming React session, but you can also attend my React session if in future it happens. Yes, Sudeep, React is a framework of JS, and it is one of my favorite frameworks. So your teaching is best than other teachers. You try to cover all the topics with necessary without worrying about time close at 7:30. Thank you so much for the kind word, Utpal. See, again, it's very important to cover the topics, right? Because if you want to do project, we need to cover at least the base topics that we need in the project. So thank you so much for the kind words, Utpal. So guys, I really hope that you understood everything that we learned today. Okay. I'm waiting, sir. Waiting for what, Surya? Guys, everyone, are we cleared with the difference between let and const, guys? Okay. So let is for normal variables and const is for constant variables, which you feel that are never going to be changed. So you can use it when you're creating data which is going to be constant and you don't want to change it accidentally as well. So you can initialize it with const, like a value of pi or your gravitational constant, right? So maybe might be you might make some mistake and it gets changed, right, in future. So if you want to avoid that, just put const in front of it. Now even if you try to accidentally change it, it will never change. It will give you an error. Okay. So guys, I really hope that you understood everything that we learned today. We learned about conditions, we learned about functions, parameters, we learned about operators, and we also learned the difference between let and var and const. Sorry, var and let, and we also saw both let and const as well. So I really hope that whatever we learned today is completely cleared to you, guys. Okay. Now I am going to give you an assignment. Okay. I'm going to be writing it down here. Okay. So assignment for, and guys, till that time, please like the session if you're enjoying the session, everyone, because that is what motivates me to be energetic and teach you whatever I can. Okay, so please guys, don't forget to like the session, everyone. If you're new, please don't forget to subscribe. Okay, yes guys, tomorrow we might also extend the session a little bit because we want to do a lot of stuff. Okay, so we'll learn event handling. So guys, you can say that we are trying to cover at least 10 to 15% of JavaScript in 3 days. And trust me guys, only if you practice whatever we have learned in these 3 days, you'll be easily able to cover up 40% of JavaScript. Then other than that, you can learn more after that. Okay, so assignment for day 2, simple guys. One question is, I want you guys to demonstrate the use of switch case. That means just give me an example of switch case. That's all. Just create a coding file where you give any example of using switch case. Okay, guys, please don't copy any code from internet. Just demonstrate an example of switch case. That's your first question. Okay. Second question will be, okay, take 5 subject marks directly, like subject 1, subject 2, or English equals 48, maths equals 55, like that. Okay, just 5 subjects, and then calculate the percentage out of that, and then and provide grades based on that. That's it. These are the 2 questions I want you guys to do. First is just simply give an example of using switch case. Second, take 5 subjects marks like English, math, science, history, geography. Give any marks, random marks to it. Then I want you guys to calculate percentage for that marks using JavaScript. And based on the percentage, I want you guys to print grade. If it is O grade, A grade. Right now, don't take input from user, but tomorrow I'll show you how to take input from user, Abhishek. Because I will show you how to read input fields from user. Okay. So guys, tomorrow's session again might be 1 hour 15 minutes, 1 hour 20 minutes. But yeah, again, you can research and learn about prompt. Just like Sudeep is suggesting, you can go with prompt. But if you can learn prompt, go with prompt. Otherwise, tomorrow I'm going to be showing you how to take user input from a proper text field, Abhishek. So don't worry. That's a really great code. Incredible. That's a really great code, buddy. Okay. So, yep, guys. I hope you guys understood everything. Any other? Okay. And guys, again, if you want to connect with me and know more about me, you can go on LinkedIn, search my name. I'm there. You can just send me a connection request. You can connect to me, ask about the courses, that's about Let's Upgrade. I'll be very happy to let you know about our company, Let's Upgrade, all the courses, upcoming courses, and about me as well. So if you want, you can just search for Saurabh Gupta on LinkedIn. I'll be there. This same photo that is on thumbnail, it will be there. You can easily find me out. And you can ask me your questions there as well. I'll be happy to answer you. Anything related to the course, anything regarding any other thing, anything regarding what are the batches and all that in Let's Upgrade, I'll be happy to answer you. Okay. Yes, definitely. Why not? Bootstrap as well. So I almost teach a lot of things in web development. Okay. So everything HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Bootstrap, React, Node, database, and all that stuff. So hopefully, yes. So guys, JavaScript full course, you can go on to letsupgrade.in and check out the other courses that we have. So we also have front end development, full stack courses. You can check out our JavaScript courses there. And if you want to talk more about this and understand about our LU courses and all that stuff, or just in general, if you want to talk with me about regarding anything, regarding any tutorials and all that stuff, you can directly connect with me on LinkedIn as well. I'm there on LinkedIn. You can search for me and I'll be there. Okay. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much, everyone. Okay. No, Sudeep, I don't have any other courses on Udemy or other platforms. Okay. And if you want to talk about any course regarding that I have for me and all that, you can just search me on LinkedIn and you can talk to me there. Okay. So, yep, guys, these are the 2 assignments. Take screenshot and submit it on the given link in the description by tomorrow. And tomorrow, guys, we have a lot to learn and we have something really good to make. So I'm really very excited to be there tomorrow. What is the toughest part of JS? See, I don't think so. There is anything tough in JavaScript once you learn. But as a beginner, uh, the tough topics that are to learn is asynchronous JavaScript. That's something that a lot of beginners find tough. Asynchronous JavaScript and promises. But once you get hold of it, it is one of the easiest things. So Naveen, according to me, for beginners who have started learning JavaScript and doing basic DOM manipulation, for them initially asynchronous JavaScript might be a little tough. Asynchronous JavaScript. Okay. So, yep, guys, that's it, everyone. Thank you so much. Please don't forget to like the video and also subscribe, and also tell your friends to join tomorrow so that they can also learn. And if you're new, don't forget to subscribe and also go ahead and register yourself for the course. Otherwise, you won't be getting the certificate for the 3 days. So, register yourself, mark your attendance, and submit your assignment, guys. Same Venkat, same profile photo that I have here on the thumbnail on the YouTube. Same profile photo will be there. Okay. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much, everyone. Happy Independence Day. Enjoy your day. And I'll see all of you tomorrow, everyone. Okay. And Sahil, all just sign up to LetsUpgrade.in, all the upcoming courses. So subscribe to the channel of Let's Upgrade and also sign up on LetsUpgrade.in. So all the courses that will be coming from my side, anything Bootstrap, database, and all that stuff, you will be pre-informed for them easily. Just subscribe to the channel and also just go ahead and LetsUpgrade.in and sign up there. You'll be pre-informed about everything. Okay. No, Pavin, there was no assignment yesterday. This is the first assignment that I have given you. Okay. So what are we learning? Tomorrow we're going to be talking about DOM manipulation. When we're talking about DOM manipulation, and we're going to be talking about event handling, Rosemary. Okay, DOM manipulation, event handling. These are the two things we're going to be learning tomorrow. And based on this, we'll be creating project as well. Okay. So, yep, guys, that's it, everyone. Thank you so much, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the whole session. Please let me know in the chat, and I'll see all of you tomorrow. Have a great day, guys. Happy Independence Day, everyone. Bye bye. See you tomorrow, everyone. Good night. Good night, everyone. Good night, guys. Bye bye.